In this case, I said debtors control debit. Let's go to debtors control on the debit side. If I repeat, in other words, it's still the 31st, I don't have to put a number in the column. If it's blank like that, it repeats the previous one. Like that one repeats May. Now I leave it open, so the first column is still May and the second still the 31st. The opposite account, I'm debiting debtors control. Where's the credit? In sales. So the opposite account, sales. So I'll put in sales. Now I'm getting it from a DJ. And the amount on the DJ, again, now I haven't got the figure, but I know that grade 9 markup formulas. To calculate the selling price, it is the cost price times 100 plus the markup over 100. So I can calculate it. I want to calculate the selling price, just the opposite than what I did above. Now I need the selling price, and the selling price is the cost price times 100 plus the markup divided by 100. Okay, the cost price, if I go back, the cost price was 23850. 23850, and that equals 100 plus the markup. The markup is 60, so it's 160 divided by 100. So if I do that calculation, sorry, that should be multiply. Good, and that gives me 38160. So my selling price, 38160. Always make sure if you're working out selling must be more than cost. So if I got less, means I used the wrong formula. I must just change that part. But the selling price, 38160. So it's 38160. Okay, so I've done the first bit. The second is to credit trading stock and debit cost of sales. So go to trading stock on the credit side. I don't have to put anything in. It is still May the 31st. The opposite account, cost of sales. Cost of sales. Let's just go and see. Cost of sales, and that figure, the cost of sales was 23850. 23850, and that comes from my DJ1. So I've done all the transactions on the DJ, both of them. Now I can move on to the DAJ. DAJ also has two columns, debtors allowance and cost of sales. DAJ is for goods returned, so the debtors allowance is the selling price and the cost of sales the cost price. So let's look at the transactions for a DAJ. So a DAJ, first column is debtors allowance. Now, as I said, the debtors allowance is the selling price of the items that was returned to us. Who returned it? The debtor that owes us the money. So the opposite account will be debtors control. We said a debtors allowance is an expense. It's costing us money. But now we don't give him more he's not buying more, he's returning some goods. So I'll have more expenses, and that means debit. Debtors control, we said that's an asset. The debtor returns some of the goods that he bought, so he'll owe us less. Credit. I am interested in that one. But it's got a second part, which was cost of sales, the second column, and that we know by now always goes with trading stock. Cost of sales, we said it's an expense. Now we've got to basically reverse some of the expenses because we initially had to pay for the goods. Now it's coming back. So we're reversing it. So we're making our expense less on the credit side. Trading stock, we said, is an asset. He's returning some of the stock, so we get the stock back. So we'll have more stock. So asset increase on the debit side. Good. So we can look at the debtors control on the credit side. So go to debtors control on the credit side. Still the 31st. What was the opposite entry? What account did we debit? Debtors allowance. So we'll put in there debtors allowance. Debtors allowance coming from my DAJ, and the amount for the debtors allowance 1920. 1920. There's the second. 1920. Good. The second part is between cost of sales and trading stock, so the opposite account will be cost of sales. I'm going to debit trading stock. So go to trading stock on the debit side, opposite account cost of sales coming from my DAJ, and the amount cost of sales 1020. 1020. So I've done the DAJ. Now I can go to the Creditors Journal. Creditors Journal will have a lot of different columns. They will all be transactions. So in the next part, we will look at the Creditors Journal.